Hello, everyone. It's Diane, the massage mentor. And the thing is, I don't know if people can tell who's with me. We could do a guessing game, actually, with just your voice if you want.
My
See if,
voice?
yeah, I mean, you do have kind of a special voice.
Oh, that's nice. Takes one
It,
to know one.
it's very soothing,
Yeah.
it's deep, it's very zen. I don't know
Hmm.
if we want to have wait a while and see if anyone can guess who's behind. So, do you want to explain a little bit about, I mean, are you just being extra precautious? Are you somewhere with a large crowd?
Yeah, I'm back in civilization. There's like large crowds here. I've been out in the Utah desert for a week.
Mm-hmm.
Just me and my lovely wife and my
Aw.
lovely pickup truck. And you come back here and it's intense, man. There's all
It
kinds of
is.
people and stuff.
I know. I went to the I when I went to the grocery store for the first time. My wife's been kind enough to go, and we also have been getting groceries delivered. But the first time that I went in the grocery store and saw it all,
Yeah.
I had a little, like, I don't want to say, go as far to say a panic attack,
Uh-huh.
but it all became very real,
Well,
almost
it's
as real as it is now with you
me what?
as you're dressed right now. It's
It's
very
it's
real.
a strange thing, personal space is really important. Where's my space here? There's my space. Having the right amount of space. And so getting that right and having that clear and defined is important. And then so COVID is totally mixing it up. We get in like I'm much less than 6 feet from you right now. Like, look at that. It's right there on that
Right up
screen.
on you. Yeah,
Right
I
up
mean,
on,
we're really
that's okay
close.
though. I know you're cool. I'm cool.
So
But the
here's the
strange thing is, even getting vaccinated, because I've been fully vaxxed now,
mhm.
which rationally I go, this shouldn't be a problem. But I noticed that my personal space is still doesn't realize it's been vaccinated.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
And so
I
then I
definitely
go,
go ahead.
I go like 95% effective. What does that mean? Does that mean like 5% chance of something bad happening? Or is that like this cup is 95% full?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's something that I want to reveal. There's a couple things. The first thing I want to reveal is that I've been blessed over the last couple of years of having some quality time with you, and using some of your mentoring. And one of the things that you've inspired me to do. Everyone's like, "Oh, you're on that page, and I'm doing these interviews. Oh, no big deal." It's a big deal to me. And then we're doing the shoulder jam, and I was a nervous wreck. And one of the things that you've always done for me as a mentor is told me, just be yourself, Diane. And, that you've really been really encouraging with me. And your mentoring style has been really uplifting and cool. And I just wanted to say out loud to, whoever's watching that that's a mad skill of yours, and really helping me believe in myself, and just coaching me to just go, 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 go. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about. I mean, that doesn't just happen either. You don't just become a
You're
wise
making me
soul,
you're making me blush under here if you can't tell.
but you've helped me a lot. And like I
Oh.
said, I'm just very thankful. The shoulder jam might not even be happening without Till his encouragement.
Well,
So
we should take a second just to applaud you for pulling it together because what a thing it's going to be. I'm excited. You were
yeah.
nice enough to invite me,
Oh gosh.
and we're going to, do our thing there. Whitney and I are doing, Whitney Lowe's coming too, huh?
Yes, Whitney
And,
Lowe's coming,
and he and
and
I are going to do a special podcast on the shoulder that we're going to record next week.
oh, cool.
Yeah, just
How
to
about
kind
that?
of prime the pump and get ready because we're each doing shoulder pieces there.
And
Yep.
if you haven't seen the
But
thing,
no, there's oh,
you.
uh what you were saying about being yourself. Totally.
And it's true. For me, I was a little nervous, getting to know everybody, and I mean, but I think one of the things that has helped me get to know everybody is just being myself, and being authentic. And like I said, you've really inspired that in me. And I wanted to ask though, tell us a little bit. Can you tell us, like, name a mentor for you. What do you think makes a great mentor? What do you look for in a mentor?
I'm getting a little hot under here. Do you mind if I peel back a layer or so? Are you comfortable with
I
that?
mean, I feel we're a little close, but I'm comfortable with it if you want to take off the mask because I'm vaccinated.
What if I'm through there? Well,
I'm still.
actually, I was going to leave the mask on. Can I take my hat off? I got a haircut too.
Oh, yes. Yes. Look at that. I love it. I
So,
love it. It's so freeing, isn't it?
oh, I can't wait to shave my head. Every time I do it, it's like a huge relief.
Isn't it? It's
Yeah,
weird, right?
yeah. And so
It
yeah, I'll take the mask off too.
it feels so good. You look so handsome. Oh my goodness gracious. Look at
It's
that.
one to know one. So yeah, last week we loaded up in the pickup truck, just like I said, me, my wife, and the shaver, and headed to the desert
No way.
where I just left it all behind,
That is
the whole
amazing.
week.
It's
And
true.
camp,
Yes.
beautiful camping under the stars, getting a little sunburned. You got to watch that at first. You
Yes.
don't realize how hot that sun is.
You don't. And you don't realize how cold it is in the winter without hair. That's
That's
another
right.
thing. You get really, really cold. So seriously though, there is something for me when I take off my hair. There is
Yeah.
something to that. Do you agree? I mean, you really feel this sense of freedom and liberation, unlike you
Freedom
wouldn't
all
think.
the way, liberation, and talk about being yourself. I mean, what are you going to hide behind if you don't have your mask and hat and all that kind of stuff and hair?
Oh my
What's
God, look how handsome. It's so nice. Congratulations. I mean, it really is exhilarating. I know from experience it does. It's there's nowhere to hide. It's exactly right. That's exactly
totally?
right. So what do you have you have some stuff going for the shoulder jam. I mean, what are you
Yep,
thinking? You pumped? Like, do you have an idea of what you're going to talk about?
yep, yep.
Did it come to you in the mountains? Did you see like a big shoulder over the mountain peak and say, "Oh,
Precisely. And what it said was there's like one magic movement that the shoulder loses and causes most shoulder problems. Yeah.
and you're going to talk about that?"
And here's the paradox. It's even related to hypermobility. It's a motion that gets lost that is definitely involved in like adhesive capsulitis restrictions, frozen shoulder stuff, a lot of things that people call rotator cuff tears or slap tears or labral issues. We could just go through every single condition. Impingement syndrome, it's the big one for impingement syndromes. Everything that
Really?
people complain about, oh yeah, as well as like protracted shoulders, all that stuff. There's one movement right there at the shoulder that people lose that's part of all that.
How about that?
Yeah.
Are you going to reveal that for us now or later?
Uh,
I
I'm
think
gonna
you should
wait.
save it for the shoulder jam.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not only
100%.
gonna, I'm not going to talk about not only the biomechanics of that motion, but also, yeah, there's probably an attitude correlate that goes with that, where when you stop moving in a particular way, you get a little fixed in your outlook.
Yes,
And
100%. I'm
yeah,
glad that you're saying that. Will you say
uh,
that one more time, please?
uh, can we rewind? I don't remember quite.
Come
Give
on.
me a clue.
Well,
There's something about,
if you get like stuck in a position,
yeah,
that
if you
there is like some kind of mental thing that happens after a while.
yeah, if I forget that I can move, or if it gets sensitive and I got to protect
Oh
that,
my gosh, yes.
yeah, not only does my physical body not move as much, but I change my kinesthetic shape. There's like a big dent in my kinesphere that I'm not even perceiving or moving or feeling into that part of the world. Yeah. But then
Hmm.
also I get a different, like I said, attitude, I think was what it was. I get a different attitude, which is another word for angle. Your inclination towards certain things, or your propensity to respond and react and feel and see, is all dependent on my adaptability of my body
Yes.
and my perception and the space around me, my personal space or lack thereof.
And I also think almost one of the things I'm realizing, because my hip's been bothering me a little. That it's like this, there's like a little itch in my brain all the time that I can't scratch. There's this distraction that pain distracts my mind like nonstop. And so it takes me away from being present. It takes me away from so many different things.
No kidding. I mean, I'm glad it's little, because when it's not little, forget itch. Then it's just like this huge blanket or curtain of experience that's between you and everything else. That's the purpose of pain. It's supposed to get our attention. And so it does. When we got it there, it's like the brain can't rest, it can't focus, it can't do anything else but deal with that pain. What a
Do you
bummer.
feel do you
Not
feel
always like easy to turn off.
do you feel like I've heard this one many times? Pain is the body's last cry for help. Isn't that an interesting one?
What's interesting to you about it? Is it the last part, or the help part, or the
I
cry
think
part?
it's the part that I think if we're talking about, say, emotions, or we're talking about repetitive motion and doing something over and over again, it's just something we do. We aren't even really conscious that we're doing it until those repetitive movements or those repetitive thoughts might be on the side of not a positive movement or not a positive thought. And after enough that this can accumulate where we haven't paid attention, then I think we get to a point of pain, right?
Sure. Yeah. Or sometimes that cry for help, if that's what it is, gets stuck on repeat, and we don't even need help anymore. We're just stuck in that mode of thinking we do.
Ah, there you go. There's another twist. I like
Totally.
that.
No, totally. There's a lot of ways to deal with
Oh,
pain,
that was deep. That was deep.
I
I like
guess.
that.
But it's
No,
like
it
there's
was.
a lot of ways to deal with pain. One is to, stop the thing that's hurting.
Right.
You know, that's what a lot of say that we do when we try to get something to move that's not moving or whatever. But the other way to deal with pain is shift the reaction
Yeah.
that I'm calling pain.
That's why I see. That's why I love. There's just something that like time on planet Earth, time being a teacher, time
Yeah.
articulating these things, that is just so extraordinary to me. The way
Yep.
that you articulate things. I'm getting there. I'm getting better at articulating, but you just have such a great way where you stir up my insides with your what you say. It's pretty cool. So
Glad,
yes, we could just
glad you're
choose.
having fun, because I am too.
So we could just choose maybe to do something different, think something different, do a different action,
Yeah, react differently. Choice is
pause.
pause, not react. Yeah. Choice is complicated, because sometimes I can just choose. Try telling that to somebody who's really hurting. You could just choose to react
I
differently, and
know,
that's not
right?
always, right.
Because they're ready. They're like,
I,
choose. If I could choose not to be in pain, you bastard,
right.
I wouldn't be in pain.
I had a molar drilled out, and the shot didn't work. And she tried another shot, and that didn't work. There was actually a third shot, and that didn't work. But there I was, and it was for whatever reason we had to do it. And so I was really working with that choice. Believe me, it's like, okay, I can choose to react and tighten, or contract or retreat, or I can just remind myself
Right.
that everything that's happening to my tooth would have happened whether I felt it or not. There's no greater danger to me other than the discomfort, otherwise known as pain, that's going on in this situation.
Yes.
But it wasn't an easy choice, I can tell you that. Even though I kept reminding myself that, I am sweating, and I had to stop her a few times so that I could get my heart rate back down, because it hurt. It hurt, and I didn't have a whole lot of choice about that.
It's yeah. Yeah, so yeah.
I
That's
had a
pretty
choice to stay with it and go through it, and know that we're going to be fine.
right.
You're in the East. I know you're like do you identify as a Philly person, or are you?
Well, I was born in Philadelphia,
Yeah.
and then my dad liked trees. So he moved us from the city to Elverson, Pennsylvania, which is,
Yeah.
he cut down one tree to build the house. Our driveway was 2 miles long. That whole, a quarter of a mile long. His new house is 2 miles long, his driveway. So my dad was always a very nature focused man. So I grew up, catching crayfish and playing with May apples. So
Sweet.
I don't know if that counts for Philly. Although I have to tell
Well,
you,
it
well, I'll
counts
tell
for
you
a
one thing.
lot.
You
Tell
asked
me.
the question, so I'm going to keep rambling. But I
Yeah.
will tell you this: when I did move to Elverson, I had like the Philly in me because I was like kind of,
Yeah.
yo yo yo, you want to mess with me? And I did. I was 6 years old. I went up to one of the 13-year-olds and I was like, come on, come on, because that's how we talked. At least in where I grew up in Philly. Come on! I'm like trying to, She's like, nah. So she knocked me right on my little hiney, and I've been well behaved ever since that, Till. So does that make me? I don't know. That makes me. I don't know. So I'm an East girl, maybe a little bit. Hi.
You got, okay, that's a good story. And I'm glad you learned your lesson that early, that young.
I was pretty young.
Yeah. But you got, uh, I ask because you have ticks there, right? You have like deer ticks,
Oh yeah,
and some people get Lyme disease sometimes.
yeah. The Lyme's disease. It's a phenomenon here. It's definitely. That's why when my wife likes to feed the deer, and they come all the way up to the house and kind of almost wait for her now, and I
Yeah.
just think to myself, the deer ticks. What do you know about deer ticks? What
Well,
do you?
I'm not okay. I'm not an expert actually on deer and their ticks, but I do seem to recall the fact that it's actually the mice that are the Lyme reservoir, even though they're called deer ticks.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
So if she starts
True.
feeding the mice, you might get a little worried, but the
Yes.
deers probably aren't as big a threat.
hmm
Anyway, what do I know about Lyme disease? Yeah, I had Lyme disease for like
Oh,
three
really?
years. I had chronic Lyme going on. And it was talk about getting knocked on my rear, like your story, and talk
Right.
about learning my lesson. Whoa,
I
whoa.
think you. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just going to get excited and say you probably have a whole new compassion, though.
Yeah, I was, yeah, right. This was 20 something years ago. And it did completely change my work. It changed my outlook. I couldn't work for 3 years, and I was in pain for 3 years. And it wasn't a choice where I could just say, okay, so this is, yeah, I choose not to react to this. It was a whole thing, it's a whole biological thing going on. So one of the things that's really interesting about this whole COVID story turns out to be the long COVID stuff, like what we're learning about the way the body reacts to different pathogens, including COVID and including Lyme, and including perhaps if there is a viral side to something like chronic fatigue or something like that, the way that that's part of it. So there's a lot of overlap, it turns out, which I'm actually really interested in, having been through that myself and recovered from it, knock on wood. Yeah. And then, so that's been one of my interests lately. I'm always a little, uh, I've actually never been on a call with my mask on before. Yeah. So this was a first.
Woo!
I wrote an article for massage and for massage and body work about the inflammatory side of COVID, the cytokine storm stuff when that was first coming out. But my kind of latest academic / personal interest is really in this long COVID stuff because
hmm
it's, and I'm leery about talking about it so much because it's people hear anything about COVID in so many different ways. It's either
hmm
the end of the world or it's nothing at all, or it's everything in between, and maybe things east and west of that north-south polarity too. But
hmm
it has a lot of personal significance just in the fact that so many of the symptoms that I was dealing with uh, seem to map out onto this long COVID story. And it turned, yeah.
Yeah,
And
because as you're saying that, when I got my COVID shot, even I had the experience of the body aches, the chills, the sweats. I know I've massaged count. I used to massage like the head of Chester County, the area. I guess I'm breaking HIPAA laws right now, but I'm not going to say his name anyway. So, Lyme is real, and it's interesting because if it's not caught, they name it as MS, they name it as this, they name it as that. No one knows what it is sometimes until it's so far along that
Yeah.
I've had clients that didn't get to me till they were like totally down and out.
Well, and then it was the story with Lyme, it's the story with chronic fatigue, and it's somewhat the story where long COVID too, is that it's sometimes hard to get believed as a patient or as a sufferer, that you feel like poop, but you end up, no one could find anything medically. There's no test that shows, yeah, this is still going on. In fact, people are testing negative for COVID, but still having lots of symptoms. And so they're having a hard time even finding someone that believes them. I mean, more and more, actually, it's getting more accepted with COVID. At Lyme, it was like, forget it. You're either a nut who had these
Right.
symptoms or you were done. You know, it was
Yep.
one or the other. And doctors were losing their licenses for prescribing antibiotics outside of the usual protocols because antibiotics seem to help some of
Right.
us. They did for me. I did like a lot of antibiotics over years and they would keep the symptoms down, but it didn't really get rid of it. So
Right.
this story, I mean, what's cool about the COVID things is bringing that into the light of the day, that we're realizing, wow, there's a lot of people suffering from stuff that doesn't show up on a test and isn't even medically explainable exactly, or it might be a combination of things that take some sort of faith and some sort of believing the person that's telling us, like we
Hmm.
can trust that if they're telling us that it's true for them, no matter what the tests say or don't say.
Right.
And I guess that, the dot to connect back to the work you and I do is that there's a lot we can do as therapists too to help people.
I mean, like I said, the Lyme thing was a huge deal when I started doing massage, and no one believed anyone that had it.
Right.
And as you're saying that, the COVID thing, even a friend of ours had COVID. She had it for like months. She was
Yeah.
so sick for months. And
Yeah.
still, it's been like almost a year. She was one of the first people. She's still like, I don't know what's going on with me,
Right.
but I just don't feel right, you know?
Well, and then it'll tend to come and go, or it'll be a subtle, or it'll be overt, and then it's just tricky. It's tricky. You start to doubt yourself. Even it's like, well, I feel so good now, and then you feel really bad later. That kind of stuff is crazy making, especially if there's no clear diagnosis. Like I said, the long COVID thing is getting more accepted as a real thing in the eyes of medical, science, which is great for all of the people suffering from all these things that we're not quite certain and we don't know how to think about them. Probably some similar mechanisms at work.
So when you said there's things that we can do as a community to help them, could you be
Yeah.
more specific? I mean, I have a general idea, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah. Uh, well, we're pretty good with pain. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would get when I was really in the throes of my stuff, I had a Rolfer I would go see, one of my colleagues, and he would work on me, and it was the best part of my week being on
Mhm.
his table. I had to help him through it because he's like, Till, what are we doing here? I'm not gonna fix your Lyme disease. You got a disease, for goodness sake.
All right.
But I'm saying, no, don't stop. Seriously, don't stop because there's nothing else that was getting to the level that I needed and helping me move in the places that were starting to just, close down.
But do you
So,
think, wait, can I jump in there for one sec?
um,
So you're saying like there's no other place that felt better, no place I'd rather be when I had my Lyme. I knew he wasn't fixing my Lyme, but for a minute, your stress levels and everything about you just forgot about the Lyme. Your body had a break from the whole Lyme
yeah,
story. The Lyme
felt
was
better.
gone.
It's that simple. Just felt
Yeah,
better.
it
Yeah.
was gone for an hour. So you kind of had a chance too to kind of break up the thought patterns, break up the pain, and just
Yep.
give yourself some real rest.
Real rest, real relief. And I mean, don't put down relief, even if temporary. If you're in pain, any relief is a godsend.
True. Yes. Thank
Yeah.
you for saying
So that's,
that.
I mean, that's often one of the objections to say it's just relaxation or it's just temporary. It's like everything is just temporary,
When the
first of
streets are
all.
wet, the colors slip into the sky. Edie Brickell, 1980 something.
Nice.
So you would get these massages and you would get you get this
Yeah,
relief and you look forward to them.
yeah, and it
I,
helped.
yeah.
It helped. It didn't fix my Lyme disease.
Hmm.
Well, it might have actually, because who knows what? Honestly, I tried everything, everything, you name it, from German vibrational medicine to infectious disease specialists at large hospitals in the East Coast that dealt with a lot of Lyme disease, to Apache shamanistic ceremonies that
Right.
themselves were quite painful,
Hmm.
but the whole spectrum of, I just tried everything, everything, and I learned something from everything, but none of them stopped the Lyme.
I do think though, like through suffering, through the pain and suffering, I think it's that you learn about it more than when we have the experience of something. I do think it helps us have a lot more compassion and a lot more interest in discovering ways to help relieve and ways out of it. So
Yes.
yeah, thank God for some
Can we
suffering.
swear on this program?
Hell yeah! What the fuck, man?
Well, then I'm just gonna say fuck silver linings too. Yeah.
Go ahead, say more about that. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, it gives us compassion. It gives us, wisdom. It gives us all this stuff, but fuck that. It just hurts.
Yeah.
And there's a time just to like help with people not hurt if we can. And it's not even about even finding the good side of this whole experience. There were amazing sides. I mean, I honestly can't put that aside either.
Hmm.
But in that doesn't make it okay. It just sucked.
Right.
And
It did.
just to almost like make peace, if there was peace, or be defeated by that, or be impacted by that, or be squashed by that fact that it was just screwed up, it was just fucked, was actually the healing
Hmm.
for me.
Very nice. I like these trips to the mountains. Every time you go somewhere, I'm going to be like, "Hey, Till, what are you doing after that?" let's
Yeah,
let's have some deep thoughts. I should have like I don't know. That was good. Yeah, I agree. And I think too sometimes we all try to but everything's good, man. I'm fine. I'm fine. It's fine. Being fine and it not hurting or it not
yeah,
being this or not being that,
yeah.
is supposed to be spiritual or enlightened. Well,
Well, there is, yeah, and there is something. I mean, back to like what I did bring back from that journey, and that I do use with my clients. There is something about being with pain, or even being with hopelessness, or being with a symptom we can't change. And I do, you mentioned you and I doing some mentoring, some coaching. I still do a lot with people with chronic symptoms, ongoing symptoms. And there's basically two kinds of people, or not two kinds of people, two stages maybe, or two ways of dealing with um, something that's that severe. Um, One is I'm going to get better, which is righteous and good. And I would never want to do anything to take that away from someone until everything fails. And that goes on for a few years. And then if the only hope I have is of getting better, then I'm really screwed. If I've done everything I know and I've done it for a long time and I'm still not getting better, and that's my only hope is to get better, to get back to that person I was or that life I knew, it's not a good place.
and maybe, and I think too, a lot of times through some of my own recoveries,
Yeah.
everyone will be like, "Why the hell would you want to go back to the person you were? Enjoy the person you're becoming and the person you are." Just a
Yes,
thought.
that's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
the symptoms like Lyme disease or COVID or whatever, or an addiction sometimes, especially gets to that place, interfere with who we thought we were and who we wanted to be. It's like they have a plan for us or whatever it is. Like kind of knock us off our course, and we can either go with that or we can struggle.
Yep. I'm so excited that you're going to be on the shoulder jam. It's been so exciting getting to know you more. I just can't
Yeah.
even. And I love your hair. I think I'll get to meet you soon in person, which I'm so
Yeah,
excited about.
right.
I know you're in
Exactly.
trouble. You know you're in trouble. You're going to have to like get a firm stance and get ready for me to come barreling across wherever I am and giving you a big hug. So,
I look
anything
forward to
else you
that.
want to add before we part ways here today?
No, just a big, I just want to say a big congratulations and appreciation for you that all you do. And you're moving, I mean, you've touched a lot of people, but now you're moving into a whole new level of reaching out and bringing people together. What a great combination of presenters, but then it's going to attract an amazing audience of our participant pool of people to come together too. So just, I know it's been a ton of work for you. I know it's been hanging it out and taking risks on your side, and it's really cool to see that coming together. And I'm looking forward to being a part of that, seeing it pay off in your shoulder
Aw.
jam and beyond. What part are you going to do that at next?
You said the hip, so we're going to do the hip.
Great.
Hip.
Yeah.
We were talking about the ear, maybe doing the ear too, which would be a total
Ears
mind
are
cluster.
it's hard to get better than the ears in my book.
Be a little mind cluster for some people. They might, but we'll start with. I think we'll do the hip next because I feel like that was what you said, and we're going to go with that. And just to go back at you, like I said, this you got to find someone that you trust, someone that you see doing things that you want to do, and tear down your walls and tell them your ideas, and then go for it. Till, you've been a huge supporter and a huge inspiration to me, and I'm really thankful for the relationship we have, and I cannot wait to see what you do on the shoulder gym. Yes.
The one magic motion coming right up.
I love the hair. So if you hang tight for a minute, Till, we're going to say goodbye. Thank you for joining. Don't miss the shoulder jam. I'm going to put all Till's information up too, so you guys can check him out. He has the podcast. He has a magnificent website. He teaches classes. He has certifications. What doesn't he do? Not much.
Thanks, Diane.